Hey Buddha family, so today I'm going to touch base on some Lantana tricks. So this is how it should look. Lantana is a wonderful heat-loving crop, should send out constant blooms all season long until the frost. But if your Lantana is struggling to flower, and it looks something like this, it's a nice healthy plant but there's not a lot of flower buds on it. Well, that's because Lantana, depending on your variety, often needs to be deadheaded. And let me bring you in and show you. So Lantana, when the flowers expire, are left with a seed pod. And then the seed pod will eventually grow a seed, this little green ball here, and I'll show you that in a second. But if you don't pick these off, the Lantana kind of thinks it's the end of the season, it's dying, it's putting all its energy into reproductive arts and making sure there's future generations, and it's not really worried about flowers anymore. So you really need to pick off all these little buds. Let me bring you in and I'm going to show you the difference. So here you can see the flowers and they look nice. What will happen is after the flower's done its thing, the petals will slowly fall off and you're going to be left with this little nub right here. I'm going to pick one off to show you. So you're going to have something that looks like that. Now that's not a new flower. This is an expired flower and that's the seed pod. And then what will happen, let's see if I can find one. Here you can see the seed pod. But what will happen is it'll start to grow the little seeds, which here's the pod, and then here's the little green ball, which is actually a Lantana seed. And if you want your flower to constantly bloom all season long, you want to pick these seed pods off, and then basically you'll be tricking the plant into thinking it's not the end of the season, because oftentimes it's not, and that it should continue to grow and produce more flowers. So let's just touch base again. Here's what a flower will look like. After it loses all of its petals, it becomes the start of a seed pod. And at this point, you can pick it off. And if you leave it on there long enough, the seed pods will actually grow seeds, like this green ball right here. So that's your Lantana seed that comes off your seed pod. So if this is my plant, I'm going to want to pick these off. And if you're in a rush, just pick off the tops. That will suffice. If you have plenty of time and it's your therapy, you can actually follow the stem down to where it connects to the plant and pick the whole thing off. But if your Lantana is struggling, you're going to want to pick off these seed pods and you'll be blown away at the results in a week. It's going to start to send up a ton of new flowers and it'll look healthy and thrive until the first frost. And there's another thing to note, that when you're buying Lantana, there's a lot of varieties that have come out that don't need as much deadhead. So check for the newer ones, ask the people that are working wherever you're buying them from, what kind of variety it is. And there's a lot that don't have to be deadheaded as much, because it can get a lot, especially when you have hanging baskets and things like that. So if your Lantana is struggling, make sure you pick off the seed pods. Let me know if you have any questions.